Hello, fellow investors. This is Mike Van Orden. Welcome to another edition of Marketing Monday at We Buy Houses, and I have my always punctual and knowledgeable Dev Horn here with me, and we're going to talk about.
I've never been punctual in my life.
I know. I just said that.
I do appreciate it.
It's opposite day, as my kids say. It's opposite day. Anyway, we're going to talk about reasons why investors fail today, and there's really 4 reasons that investors fail. Well, there's actually a plethora of reasons, but we're gonna hone it down to 4 reasons. And the first one is we touched on in the last video that we did is really just having an identity that people can relate to. So we really won't belabor that really because we covered that extensively in the last video. But probably the main reason is consistency. Mm-hmm. And well, they're all fairly equal, but a big one is consistency. And what I see a lot is investors, they do 1 or 2 mailings and they say this doesn't work, or they run 3 or 4 ads or on TV and this doesn't work, or they put up a website and if they don't convert 10 leads in 30 days, the internet doesn't work. Well, it's because they don't have the consistency. Consistency is time. You need to give it time. I mean, I know that we've had our guys, especially with TV, they give it 30 days and they call and they talk to Dev and they're like, TV's not working, but that's not necessarily true.
And it is tough. I always say, look, it's your money. So I know what it's like when you make an investment of a couple of grand, $4 grand, $5 grand on TV, and no deal comes in that month.
Right.
Plus also, you might have business partners or spouses kind of saying, what are you going to do this month? I'm going to throw another $5 grand in there. So sometimes it's hard to do that. I think there's probably gamblers in Vegas that know that you got to play through that uncertainty.
That's a great analogy. That's a great analogy, and it would be like going to Vegas one time and losing a couple grand. Well, no one ever wins in Vegas. No, people do win big in Vegas. Yeah. It's just you have to be consistent with it, And I think that people that maybe they're not real seasoned and they haven't done a lot of marketing, or they're not real familiar with marketing, they don't understand that you have to be in front of people when they're ready. You have to be in front of that seller when something happens in that seller's life.
Right.
And the only way to be there is to take action and do that mailing, or make sure that you're communicating properly. And I think that as investors, it's incumbent upon us to make sure that we're there when the seller gets ready. I mean, that's really the bottom line. We have to be there, because if we're not there, your competitor's going to be there.
Yep. Right? Yeah, another thing, Mike, is what I've seen is that people kind of fumble the ball a lot. Once they do get calls or leads from motivated sellers or sellers of some sort, they don't call them back on a timely basis, or they make a call, don't get the guy, don't call him back. And I've just seen such poor communication and follow-up.
Oh my gosh.
Not being critical of anyone, but just saying if you're trying to figure out what's not working, that's one area you want to look and make sure that your communication is on,
You just hit on a massive issue that I have a big problem with, and that is follow-up. When you've spent thousands of dollars, or let's just say it's a few $100s to generate that lead, and you call them, you talk to them on the phone, maybe they're not ready at that moment, but it doesn't mean 30 days, 60 days down the road that something, could happen in their life, and they're like, you know what, I think we'll take your offer. Is the offer still good? Because, like I say, people, they're not always going to show all their cards. They're not always going to tell you everything that's going on in their life. So it's incumbent upon you to stay in touch with them and follow up. Look, bi-weekly, I think is fair. Every couple weeks.
Yeah.
Just follow up with that lead every couple weeks. And even seasoned investors. I mean, I have licensees doing several hundred deals a year. And they'll admit to it. It's like, you know what, if I followed up, I might even be able to double that. But I don't follow up. So imagine if you're doing 1 or 2 deals a month, if you could double that just because you followed up, because it begins to snowball is what happens.
We see it all the time. That guys will tell me they, just got a deal from a postcard 3 months ago, or the lady said
Yeah.
she saw me on TV, and I haven't been running TV for a couple of months. So
Yeah.
we see this all the time, in that the work of the marketing was there, and if they were touching on those who took the time to contact you, but they don't, for whatever reason,
Right.
turn into a deal today. Some people think those are throwaway, like in our business, that there is no value follow up, and I that's
Exactly.
not true.
And because
Absolutely not true.
I've even had a certain licensee who I will not mention, incredibly successful guy, said, you know what, I'll get 10 leads and I'll just trash 9 of them right off the bat because I'm only interested in purchasing the home. I have no desire to list the home. Now this was someone who is an agent as well, and I said, so you're going to throw away 3% just because you don't want to deal with that lead. And see, here's the problem with that is that it's tight out there now, right?
Mm-hmm.
A couple years ago, you could just, if you just wanted to chunk half your leads or 3/4 because, they didn't fit exactly the parameters you'd set, okay, fine. You may be able to do okay with that back then. Now, you have to monetize that lead in any way that you can. If there is any life in that lead, you need to find a way to make it work.
Yeah.
Now, that might mean that 60 days down the road, that lead is still not ready to accept a cash offer, but they're ready to sell the home. It's like, we really need to sell the home. Or equity-wise, it doesn't work. Whatever the reason is, it doesn't matter. But you need to have a realtor that you're affiliated with that you can flip that lead to. And get some type of finder's fee or something like that. I mean, you could work it out. You can get a marketing fee. Those are standard. Sure. But don't just throw it away, because even if that happened 2 or 3 times a quarter, that might offset the marketing cost. So don't just squander the lead because you figure, well, this doesn't fit the exact parameters. They don't have enough equity, or they're not motivated enough. They don't want to sell it to me tonight. Don't do that. Not in this market. You just can't afford to do it, Dad. I think you'll agree with that.
The leads are so precious. They are hard to come by, expensive to generate these days. And so what we've seen is successful guys monetize every lead they can in multiple ways. And we've kind of in the last year talked about real estate investors being solution providers, where you don't walk in and say, what do you do for a living? And you say, I flip houses. You kind of say, I'm a solution provider for people who have issues, involving real estate.
Absolutely, give them options.
Right.
I mean, and you know what? The seller appreciates that. When you walk in and you have 2 or 3 options or 4 options, they look at you, like Dev said, as a solution provider, and it builds trust with them.
Yep.
Because guys, sellers are very skeptical and jaded in this environment. So not only is it super competitive, but they're very skeptical. They're very jaded.
And they're not real estate experts, so they
Right.
do appreciate someone coming at it from a consultative view.
That's it,
Say,
exactly.
well, you could sell it. Here's the pros and cons of that. Here's what you'd net. You could sell it to me today, or you could put it on the market. Here are the pros and cons of that. And so kind of help them to understand.
That's right.
Because what I've found over years of doing it is that if someone is truly motivated and the cash offer is the best option for them,
Right.
explaining to them listing or explaining to them renting is not a risky thing. You're just helping them understand, if I choose to take the cash offer, I'm not taking door B or door C. What's behind those doors? It's okay to tell them what's behind those doors, right? Instead of just going in and saying, well, I'm just, if you don't take my offer, I just walk out the door. It's your problem. And what really we kind of say, hey, we understand you have a problem. Let's see how we can solve that together.
Sure. I mean, think if it was you and someone took that approach with you and they gave you several options and kind of gave you a peek behind the curtain. That's really what people want. Just let them know exactly how it works. Be very candid, very honest, and be empathetic.
Yep.
I mean, they will appreciate it. So, I mean, we don't have to belabor it, but it's really important. I think that
good show. I think these are tips that are going to help people to
absolutely.
avoid these common pitfalls that a lot of investors or new investors fall into.
Yeah, absolutely agree. So we'll keep it pithy. As I say. We'll cut it loose.
Good job.
Till next time. Boom.
See you.